For 80 years, military pilots and radar operators have scanned restricted airspace only to find objects that defy every known law of physics. They're trained to identify threats, but these encounters left them with reports that were impossible to file. Upon returning to base, these observers were met with a rigid script. This wasn't a casual dismissal, it was the weaponization of institutional stigma. Reporting a structured, physics-defying craft often resulted in mandatory psychological evaluations, the loss of flight status, and the end of a career. This environment created a self-reinforcing information black hole. The pilots who saw the most remained the most silent, fearing the professional damage that came with being an unreliable witness. The systemic suppression of these accounts suggests the government's primary cover-up was the calculated dismantling of witness credibility, prioritizing institutional image over the professional well-being of its own personnel. The fracture finally occurred on May 8, 2026. The Department of War launched the Pursue portal, dumping an initial tranche of 162 declassified UAP files into the public domain. Secretary Pete Hegseth framed the release as a new era of maximum transparency, promising to share the records that had long fueled public speculation. The math of the release contradicts the promise. 108 of those 162 files are heavily redacted, with entire pages swallowed by blackout blocks. Congress noted the missing data immediately. Representative Anna Paulina Luna pointed out that 46 highly classified UAP videos, specifically requested by her office, were entirely absent from the portal. Pursue functions as a controlled demolition of public expectations. It is a strategic concession designed to satisfy the demand for transparency while keeping the most inexplicable data hidden. Among the historical documents released is a newly unredacted 1947 FBI memo from the Dallas Field Office, providing a rare look at the military's internal reporting during the Roswell incident. The memo describes a hexagonal object suspended by a cable, a physical profile of a Project Mogul weather balloon. While Cold War memos rely on paper trails, the modern files rely on billion-dollar sensor platforms. High-definition infrared cameras are now capturing the evidence that pilots once struggled to report. Modern reports from Syria, Iraq, and Japan document football-shaped objects operating with absolute impunity. These craft exhibit instantaneous acceleration and no visible flight surfaces, moving through restricted zones without a sonic boom. The shift from isolated memos to verifiable multi-platform sensor data has made the government's traditional strategy of blanket denial physically and mathematically impossible to maintain. The 2026 release includes Apollo mission transcripts, where astronauts describe seeing tumbling particles and geometric triangles in deep space. These observers were the most rigorously trained in human history, yet their accounts were left officially unvalidated for 50 years, existing only in redacted debriefing files. The Pursue release contrasts these isolated human accounts with the cold truth of modern infrared footage, such as the glowing orb that federal agents formally dubbed the Eye of Sauron. The military's own advanced machine data is now providing the irrefutable evidence that validates the very personnel the institution spent decades silencing. Machine data finally provided the unblinking, irrefutable verification these witnesses were denied for a generation. The bureaucracy moved slowly, shifting from Project Blue Book's dismissals in the 60s to AARO's 2024 admission that certain anomalies remain unresolved. Despite the massive scope of the files, the Pursue release does not deliver the cultural myths of alien bodies or reverse-engineered spacecraft. The documents definitively prove a different reality. Unexplained objects exhibiting impossible flight characteristics routinely operate within restricted U.S. airspace. This admission ends the tinfoil hat era. UAPs are no longer a matter of fringe internet mythology. They are a documented matter of national security. For over half a century, American intelligence and space agencies possessed this raw data while publicly dismissing the possibility of its existence. The release also covers current theater operations, dropping 28 modern infrared videos. Many of these incursions are happening directly over active global conflict zones. The military tracked football-shaped anomalies off the coast of Japan that produce no aerodynamic lift. In 2023, 7 federal agents in the American West documented a silent, glowing orb that stopped a spotlight beam midair. This simulation maps an encounter in Greece, showing an object executing 90-degree turns at 80 miles per hour. An instantaneous turn at that speed imposes forces exceeding known materials. Yet the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office officially maintains there is no empirical evidence. This is the cognitive dissonance of the 2026 disclosure. Institutions are now formally acknowledging objects that break our known knowns of physics, while maintaining the bureaucratic conclusion that nothing anomalous is happening. The May 2026 release standardized UAP reporting. These encounters are now recorded in the same institutional framework as any other breach of national defense. This creates a condition of cosmic ambiguity. The government has officially acknowledged that objects with no known origin are operating in restricted areas, and its own analysts cannot explain how. When you map these encounters, a clear trajectory emerges. These objects consistently cluster around kinetic zones, nuclear aircraft carrier strike groups, and sensitive military infrastructure. These clustered incursions mean the United States military can no longer guarantee air superiority in its own airspace. As these phenomena become bolder, the government's ability to dismiss them with weather balloons and sensor artifacts has reached its limit. The 2026 disclosure didn't solve the mystery. It simply moved the conversation into the public sphere. The May 2026 disclosure reveals a reality more unsettling than a cultural myth. For 80 years, the world's most powerful military institution has been powerless